So here's how this works. It is going to create for you a Google form that's already set up. It's going to allow students to check in using the Google form. You're going to see from the spreadsheet their responses. You know how that works. But it's going to add a column for you to reply back to them right on the spreadsheet. So normally when students add something to a Google form, you're like, well, how do I reply back to them? This is how you can do it, is you can use my code. So let me show you. When you click on the link, it's going to prompt you to make a copy. So go ahead and do that. You're going to need to wait for the code to load. Like anything that I've coded, it just takes some time. So when you make a copy of a spreadsheet, most of my stuff is spreadsheets, of course. What you're going to need to do is just wait for the code to load. It's like it's stapled to there. So first it has to load up all the spreadsheet with the toolbars, and then it's looking for the code in the background, and it's reading it, and it can take up to a minute. So once you've waited a little bit, you'll notice it now has this reply menu up at the top. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to authorize the add-on. Authorize, choose your email, allow. Now it might give you some scarier warnings depending on your account. So what it might say is, warning, Google has not approved this. No, they haven't. I haven't submitted it. This is just a casual thing I've coded just for you to use. I didn't submit it to be formally an add-on. It might have a big button that says return to safety. Don't click on that. There might be a link that says advanced. Click on that. When you click on advanced, it gives you more scary warnings to let you know that nobody at Google has looked at it. That's right. No one at Google has looked at it. I coded this. You trust me. So then it says, go to this, unsafe, click on that. It's safe. Google just isn't going to vouch for me. And then it's going to go ahead and install the add-on. Okay, so once you've done that, you'll notice nothing really happened. You just had to authorize it. So now you're going to come down and create form. So we're going to create the form. All right, so you'll see it has created a tab for the form responses, and it puts the link in here for the Google form. Now, there's two links. So the first one is going to let you edit it. So obviously, you don't want it to be named form created by Alice Keeler. So you should rename those, since I don't want to save these. And then the first name, last name, you can change those, but the code is looking for the third and the fourth question. So you can change the questions whatever you want, but whatever the third and fourth one is the ones that are the check-in questions. So here you see like check-in, give a suggestion. You can edit that. Say whatever you want. Change this one. Say whatever you want. You can add extra questions. The only problem with adding extra questions is when it merges over to a email, it only takes those third and fourth ones with it. So just be aware of that. So if you put like quiz things in there, it won't merge their response to the quizzes, but you're more than welcome to do that. Okay, so cool. So I'm going to go ahead and close that. If you click the other one, it's just what it looks like that the students would see. So this is the link you give to students. So the first one is, this is the edit. The second one is the one you give to students. Don't worry about the destination ID. That's just for me. And then you're going to want to click over here on Form Responses 1. This is where the responses come in. It's defaulted. This should look real familiar. Timestamp, email, and then these are the 4 questions. But I need a spot to be able to respond when students submit. So that's where you're going to have to set up. So you're going to reply menu. I coded that. Go to setup. Now the create the form and the setup, you only do that one time. One time. So then for the rest of the time, we're going to use the send and the wrap. You'll see that in a second. Here's what happens now is that you'll notice it froze the columns for the first 4. You can resize these, or I usually like to hide the timestamp. This is checkboxes. You won't notice it at all. And this is where you would put in your response. Now you'll notice here that these are not word wrapped. So if you want to, you can come up to the reply menu and choose wrap. And it's going to set your word wrapping for you. And that will be nice. Okay, cool. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretend that I'm a student. So you're going to give students this publish link, right? Looks like this. And they'll fill it out. I have Equatio installed if you're wondering what those blue things are. It inserts math if I wanted to. So the students would check in. You can ask them whatever you want. They submit. I'll do another one just so you can see how it looks. These are fake students. Okay, so I'm going to submit those. And so back on the form responses, you can see that I have those 2 responses. So I'm able to read here, although it's a little hard to read. So that's where I'm going to go back to the reply menu and choose wrap. There we go. Now I can read it. You can make these wider if you want to. You can make the teacher feedback one wider if you want to. It's up to you. I mean, and I can make these skinnier. Whatever helps you to make it readable, do what you want. So I like to make sure I always include the student's name when I reply. It just makes it seem personal and not robotic because you're sending something that looks very robotic. So as often as you have time, I encourage you to actually include their name. So, hi, come here, Krissa, thanks for checking in. Hey, Joe. I hope you have some cheddar this week. Okay, cool. So once I'm done replying to everybody, I am going to reply and send. And what that's going to do, you see it inserted a checkbox, and it also checked the checkbox. And then what it did is the ones I've replied to, it hid them. So if you see here, it now says row 4. If I expand this, I can see that it did indeed put a checkbox and checked them to say that I've already done them. Those are ones I've replied to. But then it hides it so that, you know, when you've got 100 people who've submitted and you've replied to all of them, the new responses come to the bottom and you have to scroll all the way down. So I'm just hiding them because you've already responded, just so it's fresh and ready for you to respond to the next students. And that's basically it. So you're going to come back to the spreadsheet. I would bookmark it. Notice I have bookmarked the one that I'm doing for the subscription. So when I click on ask, it goes right to that spreadsheet. It looks like no one has responded, but if you look over here, you'll see I actually had 28 responses, but they're all hidden and I've already responded to everybody. So it's kind of nice. So if I open up this spreadsheet and it looks blank, that means I've responded to all the check-ins. Yay! And you don't have to wait for everybody because when you open it up, you respond to the ones. It looks for whether or not this is blank. So if you have like 30 students who have checked in and you responded to 5, the code knows whether or not you have responded. It'll only send those 5, but I think it'll, oh, I didn't test this. I think it'll hide all of them. So be aware of that. Yeah. Okay. So there you go. Give it a try.